Welcome to our deep dive into Proverbs 17. You've shared some really interesting selections from this chapter, and I'm excited to dig into the wisdom packed into these verses, the timeless wisdom.
Yeah. It is fascinating how relevant these proverbs remain, even thousands of years later.
Right.
We're going to uncover some surprisingly practical advice for modern living hidden within these ancient texts.
Exactly. So we're not just doing a surface level reading here. We're going to unpack the deeper meaning and see how it applies to you today. And I have to admit, some of these proverbs really jumped out at me. Like Proverbs 17.1, which says, "A simple meal and peace is better than a feast with strife."
Right.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the trade-offs we make for the sake of appearances or material things.
That's a great place to start. Verse 1 sets the stage for a recurring theme throughout Proverbs 17, the importance of harmony and peace, even if it means simplifying our lives.
It's a good reminder, especially in today's world where things feel so chaotic and complex.
Absolutely. Now, let's look at how this theme plays out in the realm of family. Verse 2 talks about a prudent servant inheriting over a disgraceful son. This might seem a bit jarring at first, but it challenges us to think about what truly matters. Is it lineage or is it character?
Yeah. I see it as a powerful statement about the importance of wisdom and integrity, regardless of social standing. It's almost like a foreshadowing of how, throughout history, those who exhibit true leadership qualities often rise above their circumstances.
Hmm, that's a really insightful connection. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the inheritance qualities we should be cultivating today? Not necessarily in terms of material wealth, but in terms of character and legacy.
That's a great question. And speaking of navigating complex situations, verses 9 and 14 offer some practical advice on conflict resolution. Verse 9 tells us that fostering love means covering over an offense, and verse 14 compares starting a quarrel to breaching a dam.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
These proverbs highlight the importance of choosing our battles wisely and practicing forgiveness. Covering over an offense isn't about ignoring wrongdoing, but rather choosing reconciliation over holding on to resentment.
It's about recognizing that sometimes letting go of a conflict can be more beneficial than trying to win an argument.
Precisely. And verse 14 reminds us that even small disagreements have the potential to escalate quickly if we're not careful. It's a call to be mindful of our words and actions, especially when tensions are high.
It makes me think about how important it is to be proactive in preventing conflicts, rather than just reacting to them once they've blown up.
That's a great point. It's about developing emotional intelligence and learning to de-escalate situations before they spiral out of control.
It's like Proverbs is giving us a crash course in healthy communication. And speaking of relationships, verse 17 really hit home for me. It says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity." It's such a beautiful testament to the enduring power of true friendship.
It's a beautiful reminder, isn't it? That true friends are there for us through thick and thin, offering support and encouragement, especially when we need it most.
It makes you appreciate the people in your life who truly embody that kind of unwavering loyalty and love.
It certainly does. And this idea of unwavering support leads us into our next theme, wisdom versus foolishness.
Okay, I'm ready to delve into that. I'm curious to see how Proverbs 17 defines these two opposing forces. What makes someone wise, and what are the pitfalls of foolishness?
Well, Proverbs 17 uses some vivid imagery to paint this contrast. Verse 3, for example, compares the Lord testing our hearts to a crucible refining silver or a furnace purifying gold. It's not about punishment, but rather a process of refinement.
I like that analogy. It suggests that challenges are opportunities for growth and self-discovery.
Exactly. And then we get into the nitty-gritty of what sets a wise person apart from a fool. Several verses really highlight this contrast. Verse 10, for instance, says, "A rebuke makes a deeper impression on a discerning person than 100 lashes on a fool." It's about being receptive to feedback, even when it's tough to hear.
So it's not about never making mistakes, but rather about how we respond to them. Do we get defensive, or do we see it as a chance to learn and grow?
That's a great way to put it. And this willingness to learn is a hallmark of wisdom. Now, verse 16 points out a rather ironic truth. Fools might have the money to buy wisdom, but they lack the understanding to actually grasp it.
So it's not just about having access to information or resources, but about having the discernment to actually apply them wisely.
Precisely. Wisdom isn't passive knowledge, it's active understanding. And then we have verse 24, which paints such a vivid picture of these contrasting mindsets. It says, "The discerning person keeps wisdom in view, while the fool's eyes wander to the ends of the earth." It's about focus, intentionality, and recognizing what truly matters.
I think that resonates with so many aspects of modern life. We're constantly bombarded with distractions, and it takes real effort to stay focused on our goals and values.
Absolutely. And I think that's why Proverbs continues to be so relevant. These ancient proverbs speak to those timeless human struggles. Now, we can't talk about wisdom and foolishness without addressing the power of silence. Verse 28 offers a rather humorous observation. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues.
It's a good reminder, isn't it? Sometimes the wisest thing we can do is simply listen and observe.
Exactly. It's about choosing our words carefully and recognizing that silence can be a powerful form of communication.
That segues perfectly into the next theme I wanted to explore: integrity and justice. It seems like Proverbs 17 has a lot to say about how we conduct ourselves in the world, especially when it comes to ethical dilemmas and social responsibility.
You're right, those themes are woven throughout this chapter. Let's start with verses 5, 8, and 23, which address some pretty heavy issues: mocking the poor, relying on bribes, and perverting justice.
These proverbs don't shy away from the tough stuff, do they?
Not at all. Verse 5, for example, reminds us that how we treat the less fortunate reflects our own character. Mocking the poor, according to this proverb, shows contempt for their maker. It's a call to empathy and compassion.
It's a powerful reminder that our actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for how we impact those around us.
Exactly. And then we have verse 8, which warns against the allure of bribes. It suggests that those who rely on such tactics might believe they're securing success, but ultimately they're undermining trust and fairness.
It's like taking a shortcut that ends up leading you down a dangerous path.
Precisely. And verse 23 makes it clear that perverting justice, no matter how it's done, is a serious offense. It erodes the very foundation of a just and equitable society.
These proverbs seem to be building on the theme of wisdom that we just discussed. It's like true wisdom is inseparable from integrity and a commitment to justice.
That's a really insightful connection. And to further emphasize that point, verses 11, 13, and 15 explore the consequences of rebellion, revenge, and the importance of fairness.
So we're seeing a deeper connection between our inner world and our outer actions.
Absolutely. Verse 11 suggests that choosing a path of rebellion has consequences. And verse 13 cautions against perpetuating a cycle of negativity. It encourages us to break free from those patterns and seek forgiveness and reconciliation.
It's a powerful reminder that holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the end.
Exactly. And then verse 15 gives us insight into God's perspective on justice. Acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, the Lord detests them both. It's a call for fairness and impartiality in all our dealings.
It makes you think about how important it is to approach situations with a balanced perspective and a commitment to truth, rather than letting our own biases or agendas influence our judgments.
That's a crucial point. And speaking of approaching situations with the right mindset, I think the final theme we need to discuss is the power of a positive outlook.
Yes, I love how Proverbs 17 addresses not just our actions, but also our attitudes and how they impact our lives and the lives of those around us.
Absolutely. And one of the most powerful examples of this is found in verse 22. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones.
This proverb beautifully illustrates the profound connection between our mental and physical well-being.
It's amazing how this ancient wisdom aligns with modern scientific findings. We now know that stress and negativity can have a detrimental impact on our physical health, while joy, gratitude, and a positive outlook can boost our immune system and overall well-being.
Yeah, it makes you think about the importance of cultivating a cheerful heart, not just for ourselves, but for the sake of those around us.
Exactly. Our attitudes are contagious. When we choose joy and optimism, we spread that positivity to others, and on the flip side, negativity can be just as contagious.
Right. It's a powerful reminder to be mindful of our own emotional state and the energy we bring into our interactions with others.
And this leads us into the final theme I wanted to touch on, which is the power of our words. Proverbs 17 offers some profound insights into the art of communication.
Yes, I'm fascinated by how this ancient text addresses something that's so relevant in our modern world, especially with the rise of social media and the constant flow of information.
It's more relevant than ever. Verse 7, for example, cautions against eloquent lips that lack integrity. It's a reminder that words without substance are ultimately meaningless.
It makes me think about how important it is to align our words with our actions and to speak with authenticity.
That's a key takeaway. And building on that idea, verse 27 highlights the importance of restraint and composure in our communication. The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered.
This proverb suggests that true wisdom is reflected not only in what we say, but also in how we say it.
Precisely. It's about choosing our words carefully, speaking with kindness, and avoiding rash or impulsive speech.
It's like that saying, think before you speak.
Exactly. And to further emphasize this point, we have verse 28, which offers a humorous observation. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. It's a reminder that sometimes silence is golden.
Yeah, it's about knowing when to speak up and when to simply listen and observe.
Precisely. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Proverbs 17. What are some of the key takeaways that you're walking away with?
Well, I'm struck by the interconnectedness of these themes. It's like Proverbs 17 is painting a holistic picture of what it means to live a wise and fulfilling life. It's about cultivating inner peace, choosing wisdom over foolishness, acting with integrity, and speaking with kindness and restraint.
That's a beautiful summation. And I think it speaks to the enduring power of these ancient proverbs. They offer timeless guidance that can help us navigate the complexities of modern life with grace and wisdom.
So for anyone listening, if you're feeling lost or uncertain or simply seeking inspiration, I encourage you to revisit Proverbs 17. You might be surprised by the wisdom and clarity you find within these ancient verses.
And remember, as we learn and grow, let's extend that same grace and understanding to others. After all, as Proverbs 17.27 reminds us, a true friend loves at all times.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Proverbs 17. It's been an enlightening journey, and I hope you've gleaned some valuable insights along the way.
Until next time, keep seeking wisdom and sharing it with the world.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.